Mohammed, I think recording is in progress.
Yeah, recording is in progress. I'm just trying to go live.
Okay.
Just a second. I'm doing the Facebook so that we can go live on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Generation Next, a program that comes to you this time on this platform, where we talk about issues that concern the young people and the society at large. And the focus of Generation Next is to help inspire, motivate, and direct young people's participation towards responsibilities in the developing society. And today, our topic of discussion is looking at adapting for success. This is a very interesting topic. I have a line of individuals who will be discussing this topic with you and their opinions. So I wouldn't do much waste of time on that point. I'm just going to try to share my screen to introduce to you who these amazing individuals are, so we can know from the start of the conversation. Right. I hope you guys can see my screen from your end. If you can,
Yes.
just let me know.
We can.
You can. Okay. Good. Right. So as you can see, the first face that we have here is none other than Miss Hadi. We haven't been seeing Hadi for a while, but today she joined us on this platform. My screen is still beautiful, right? Okay. So Miss Hadi Diba is a senior banker with an international bank in the Gambia. She's also an aspiring entrepreneur. She has a BA in business administration from the University of Wales and MBA from the University of Putra, Malaysia. She's a personal finance and development enthusiast. Thank you very much, Hadi, and welcome on Generation Next.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I'm happy to be back after
Great.
a long while.
Absolutely. And here we are with another amazing individual, Mr. Keba Sani, aka SBI, is resident in Iowa, the United States of America. Mr. Keba Sani holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and worked as an IT administrative information system in the US. Welcome, Keba, on Generation Next.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be back in the neighborhood.
Great. And here we have another amazing individual, Mr. Patrick Jura. I guess I got that right, Patrick?
Yes, you are.
Patrick is a Kenyan national accountant by profession. He's currently working for G Plus as finance and admin officer. Mr. Patrick always loved to learn, to get knowledge and share as well. Patrick believes and aspires to make and leave a positive contribution to humanity and society. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome on this platform once again.
Thank you.
So, without wasting much time, like I said, this is the discussion point today. It's based on adapting for success. As we all know, the world is changing, the environment is changing, and there are so many things that keep changing. Nothing stays forever, nothing stays constant. So as young people, as society, we need to ensure that we adapt to be able to be successful in our society. I just want to start with, they say ladies first. And I'm going to throw this to Miss Hattie Diva. You know, adapting for success. When we say adapting to success, what comes to your mind first?
I think, Mohammed, thank you very much. Thank you very much. As you've said, it's been a while. I'm happy to be back, especially on discussing a topic as the one we are discussing today. I think for me, when we say adapting for success, what springs to mind is the old saying that the only constant things in life are change and death, obviously, and taxes. Sorry to be so morbid, but so that is what springs to mind. So for me, immediately after that, I think of if change is the only constant thing in life, then it's important for the human being to always be, to be very mutable. And that is the human being should always be willing to adapt to what is changing around in our environment, because what we do not have, the things that we have control over are the things that are within us. So what do we need to do to make sure that not only do we survive, but we thrive? And that's what I think of as from the perspective of an individual. And I think on a grander scheme, as someone who's an aspiring entrepreneur, and someone who's also very much interested in personal and community development. When you look at institutions that have refused to adapt, most of them are dead. And the institutions that come to mind are Kodak, for example, and Blockbusters. I don't know if people know about those institutions. If you've done any kind of business course, I think some of those institutions are always explained to us when it comes to institutions that refuse to adapt in order to survive the changing environments. We all saw what happened what has been happening in the last 25 years with the Y2K, the internet boom and everything. It has changed everything. Basically, I think this is not only change, it's been a disruption. And every single day we're seeing this disruption continue. And I know it's been almost like a race for a lot of people, but one thing that is key and one thing that is very relevant in today's environment is adaptability. Right. So yes, I think it's something that people need to understand. People need to adopt in their lifestyles. People need to inculcate in the way we work, in the way we live, in the way we do business, in the way we relate with people, even in our personal relationships, in order to survive. And I think two key words that come to mind when we're looking at adaptability, especially for success, is number one, flexibility to me. Mm-hmm. And number two, versatility. So flexibility is our willingness to always be to change, our willingness to look at what's out there, what's working, what's not working. It's almost always doing like a self-check, personal-wise, self-check institution-wise, self-check community-wise, self-check environment-wise, and seeing what's working, what's not working, what do we need to change, and having the versatility. That means the ability to quickly do what you need to do to right. adapt, so that you can remain relevant and you can remain successful and you can remain thriving. So I think adaptability is key to success. If without it, especially in the times that we live in, you are for sure doomed to failure. So that's what springs to mind as a start.
So doomed to failure. I mean, that is definitely true, Harry. Just like you rightly say, if you want to be successful in life, you have to be adaptive. If you're not adapting, you will be left behind. The world is changing. Absolutely. So many things have happened. And you've given example of so many companies who probably, because they did not adapt to the circumstances that currently is happening, they will be left behind. And normally what will happen? You will run out of the ideas or probably out of business. Individually, the same things happens to us as individuals. If situations change, circumstances change, you don't relate to those situations and circumstances, you're likely to fail, But let me also get the ideas or perspective of the other speakers on this point before we move further on follow-up questions today. Let me bring in Patrick here. Patrick?
Yes, just like Hadia said, I want to look at it from a different perspective. I'm not even going to limit myself to business.
Right.
I'm going to limit it to success in whatever aspect it is, you know,
Absolutely.
whether at a personal level, business level, whatever it is that you are undertaking as a human being, you
Right.
have to be able to adapt to succeed. Because there's a saying that says, if you conform, you will survive. But if you adapt, you will excel. So in whatever it is that you're doing, you must look at life in the aspect that, like Hadi had said, change is constant and it is inevitable. So the only thing that we need to do is we need to adapt to fit within that change to be able to go to the next step. Now, the next step is a bit complex because if you look at what makes the adaptability, it's going to have elements that define it. And then those elements feed us into how we respond to it to be able to change. So yes, that would be my take in as far as adaptation to be able to succeed. But I'm looking at it in terms of generally in life, in business, in whatever it is that you undertake, the maxim is you must adapt to be able to succeed.
You must adapt to be able to succeed. And just like you said, conforming may help you to survive, but learning to adapt is the way to strive and to be able to face whatever complex situation or chaotic situation that you may find yourself and change it to be successful. Kewa, SBI, the same question was thrown to you. What is your perspective? What comes to your mind when we look at adapting for success?
Yeah, first of all, I will say thank you to Hadi and then our brother Patrick from Kenya. I don't know if he's a Kikuyu or Kalenji or Turkana or Lu, but we will get to that later, you know.
Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, I mean they have actually said
Patrick,
it all.
he's so into you that he knows a little bit about Kenya.
Yes, I realize that.
You know, I mean, Patrick and Hadi, they have said it all. If I want to, you know, say more, I will be repeating what they have said. But for me, what comes to mind when it comes to, you know, adaptation is this: the only thing that is constant in life is change. It's the only thing that's constant. People change every time. Time changes. Everything is changing. So now, in order for you to have that adaptability with that flow going in successful lane, I mean, in my level of conviction is that, you know, you have to build a high self-esteem because change is not easy, you know. If you don't have high self-esteem about yourself, you don't have confidence about yourself, and you don't feel good about yourself, it's going to be hard for you to change because a lot of time people don't even like what they are, and then they just want to get stuck to it. They are afraid for that change, and then without, you know, higher self-esteem, without that confidence in you, and then put your ego aside. You gotta put your ego aside. In fact, many people, because of their ego, they don't even want to ask for help. You know, they can be struggling in something in the office or somewhere in life. Instead of asking somebody for direction, they don't even want to ask. Why? It's because of the ego. Oh, if I ask, they will think I'm stupid, or they think I don't know. I mean, nobody knows it all, you know what I'm saying? So always have that mindset that, you know, be a chameleon, you know, change all the time. And the environment change, you change. You know what I'm saying? And then don't try to go with the flow. Always be the flow. The environment change, you change. So that's all I can add on top of what they said.
Thank you very much. When the environment change, you change. And there's this saying which says, one consistent mark of a professional and personal success is how adaptable and flexible we are when confronted with circumstances. And Hadi did mention something like that. We have to be flexible, you know, in situations where change happens. You know, SBI, you just said sometimes that people feel reluctant to ask for help. And sometimes this could be related to various reasons. But if a situation change and you know you are in a situation where you need support or help, it's important to ask for it, at least so that you can stop and be better off than struggling in a silence and everything get to down the drain. Hadi, what do you think?
I absolutely agree. In fact, I felt when he said, when he mentioned ego and self-esteem, I think it's very key to the whole process of change. And I think a lot of the times, one thing that is a big hindrance to personal growth, and just to pick from what Patrick is saying, let me just for a short while focus on personal growth, to be specific. One of the things that hinders growth and change and success is actually our ego and our low self-esteem. And it actually inhibits flexibility, because as I've mentioned, flexibility is our willingness to change, our willingness to understand that it is time to change, it is time to adapt, and it is time to modify the way we do things. It is time to seek help where it's necessary, and it is time to listen and learn where it's necessary, so that we can adopt these practices that will help us get to the next level of our lives. And without that flexibility, let's even forget about versatility. Let's even forget about adapting whatsoever. And I think one of the key components of change or adaptation and of building our self-esteem and our ego is being honest with ourselves. It's important for us to be very honest with ourselves. Being honest with ourselves is not self-deprecating. It is not exposing ourselves to negative criticism and absorbing it like a wet towel. No, what I'm saying is being honest with ourselves, being the person who is going to be that, critic of ourselves. The first critic should be ourselves first, so that whatever critic is outside, they can't do any harm, or they can't tell us something that we have not already, audited ourselves and have taken steps to work on. And there's this saying that says, and if there's no enemy within, then there would be no enemy without. And in order to build that self-esteem, to build that self-resilience, it's also to check your ego. And SBI mentioned it. And in order to go through this process of self-auditing and self-critique, you have to check your ego. Your ego has to die to yourself first. And it's important as young people in our generation, we have to be honest with ourselves. When we get to a point where in life where we are stuck, and that is bound to happen, there's so many seasons in our life, and sometimes we are truly stuck or we feel stuck. However, it's not as if things are not moving, but internally there's certain habits, or there's certain pathways that we form that are actually a hindrance to our growth, right? So it's important for us to now check ourselves. Let's do a self-audit. What is working well? What is not working so well? Is it me? What am I doing to hinder my own growth? Because I believe if the harm is not coming from me, the harm that can come from outside, the impact of it would be limited. If I take a personal interest in my own growth and in my own success, I would always find ways. Adaptability will come to you naturally. If you are willing to self-audit, and after you've self-audited, you're willing to, come up with action points, things that you're supposed to do to be able to, you would adapt. Because one thing you're going to do, you're going to be attuned to your stock seasons. You're going to be so attuned to yourself. You're going to know when you need to wake up, smell the coffee, and change the way you're doing things. Because you know what, you're honest with yourself. So honesty with self, and trying your best to do the things that you need to do to build your self-esteem, right? To build yourself. When you get to that place, you can easily tell, Hadi, the past 1 week or the past 1 month, things have not been going so well. What have I been doing to contribute to this? And I like when Patrick mentioned that adaptability is important in different phases of our life, not just business, particularly in our relationships. And I think as young people, one of the key things that actually hinders our growth in society is actually our relationships. Not only our romantic relationships, our platonic relationships, our relationships with our families, our relationship with our friends, not being able to set the right boundaries, not being able to speak our mind in these relationships, not being able to clearly communicate our own vision, and our personal growth plans to these people that are supposed to help, support us during this journey. Sometimes that could be a hindrance. So you want to adapt to change, but your friends are stuck in their ways, or your family is stuck in their ways, or you have people who are telling you're acting brand new, or you think you're this, or you think you're better than. So self-audit and a strong and high self-esteem is absolutely very important. So I agree with SBI on that point.
Absolutely strong. That is something that will help you to succeed when you adapt to situations or circumstances around you. And just like Patrick says, this is a broader topic that can be applied across
in different areas.
Every aspect of our life, whether it's in business, personal life, anything that you do, you just have to adapt to the situations. And then that is going to give you the platform to be successful. Because let's say if there's a change, for example, in an organization or even within your own space, and then you're not adapting to that change. You just want to live in the old days, and then, like you give an example of Kodak and all those things, you will be left behind. And the people that are going will be so many steps ahead of you. Then instead of you succeeding, the likelihood of you failing is so huge, because you're not ready to adapt to the circumstances, to the situations that are there for you. Bringing in Patrick at this point again, Patrick, adapting to succeed, like you mentioned, it's a broad area to talk on, right? But if we focus on, let's say, the circumstance today with the young people, what is it that we can advise them to focus on to be able to become better off in the society?
I think that for the young people right now to be able to be better people in society and adapt so that you fit well, I want to give what I would probably call elements of adapting. And you see, elements of adapting, in this instance, you will realize that when we are talking about adapting, we are talking about change. They're actually one and the same thing. So my understanding is, number one, you must have a vision. You must have a vision. Then you need to have the skills. Then you need to have the incentive, the resources, and an action plan. So when you come down and then you need to now start breaking this down, you'll be asking yourself that, okay, this is me, but where do I want to go? What do I want to be? That identifies, you already have a vision. Because if I wake up and I'm like, I'm just seated down. So Mohammed called you and says, oh, Patrick, what's up? Yeah, I'm cool. What's up? I'm just chilling. So how do you want to succeed if you're just chilling? Because if you look at the unfortunate scenario is because of the circumstances, and in this case, let me use Gambia as an example. Because of the circumstances that are there within now, there are very few opportunities in terms of there are no industries that are coming up, that are generating jobs, that youth can then move from going to school, then you go to college or university, and then you move into a job. There is no job openings that are coming up that fast. But you see, people have gotten to a level where people are accepting that, things are difficult in Gambia. Yes, things are difficult in Gambia, but you're forgetting it's not only in Gambia. Things are difficult everywhere. But the reason why the other people are able to succeed is because they're not letting the idea that things are tough hold them back. You see, someone says, okay, yes, I have gone to school. I have gotten my papers. Then what? It's not a must that I get a white-collar job for me to be able to succeed in life. How many people do we know that don't have white-collar jobs? Some of them are even doing better than people who have white-collar jobs. They have actually ended up employing the people who've gone to school and gotten these serious papers.
Absolutely.
So you see, now you have a vision. So you must have a vision. Then that vision is what is going to direct you to the path you want to take. So after you've had that vision, then the skills come in. What am I good at? I might be good at drawing, you know, becoming an artist, or I'm a musician, or I'm a good footballer. And you see, the other thing that I think we need to change in Africa, we need to move away from this mentality where parents tell children that you need to go to school, get good grades, become a doctor, become an engineer, become, you know, I do not want to become an engineer. I do not have interest in becoming an engineer, but I'm a good footballer. So please push me towards football and you will see what I can do in football. Push me towards music and then you will see how talented I will sing, and people will be like, oh my goodness, that young man or woman can sing like that. So you see, nurture that person's talent. If you're doing something that you don't like, you're going to do it because it is what your parents want, but it is not what you want. So even parents have got this responsibility to support your children to achieve their dream. You know, nowadays what happens is you find that most parents live their dreams through their children. Because I did not manage to become a doctor, now I have to push my son or daughter to become a doctor. Yet they have nothing to do with medicine. Some of them actually see blood and they just collapse. So how are they going to become a doctor? So you see, now you have that, you've gotten a vision and then you've gotten skills, but then you also need an incentive. You need a reason for you to wake up every day in the morning and say, oh, I'm going to the studio to do this. Oh, I'm going to pursue this, so that you have something that is pushing you to follow your calling. So your calling could be different. You could be, like I said, a musician, you could be a writer, you could be a word speaker. There's just something you are good in. So that is what, that's the incentive you need to push you to do whatever it is that you need. But then when you look at it in terms of the youth, I think it's also good for them to learn to start being curious. You know, let us not be in a scenario where people just accept things without questioning, because then you will be falling into some sense of like a vicious circle. If I ask you, so Mohammed, why are you doing that? Yeah, it normally just happens like that. So you are just following it. You are not questioning. And you know, the part where you become curious, that curiosity is going to open up something that you did not know. And that curiosity will give you an opportunity that you are not aware of. So the moment you become curious, then you get an opportunity. And then again, always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Because like we started, the world keeps on changing. Everything keeps on changing. I might have been thinking, okay, this is what I want to do. But then tomorrow I wake up and I find out, oh my God, people are not writing letters anymore. Now the phones have come up. We are using internet, there's Skype, there's, you know, so you have options that if this does not work, I am going to this. If this does not work, I'm going to this. Then added to that, have a support system. Your support system is supposed to be your friends, your family, your immediate environment. You need to be an environment, like Hadi said, you need to also be around people who want to push you to get to another level. If you are having friends and your friends are people that you always just want to sit down and you want to talk about football and you want to talk about what's his name, Jay-Z did, and you are more intent on talking about what others have achieved rather than encouraging yourselves that, I've been looking at that place in Bakau. Why can't we go and do A, B, C, D? Someone that is pushing you to go and do something to better yourself. That becomes your support system that helps you adapt to change. And then also, I think one last thing, it is how you react to it, how you react to change. People react to change differently. there are people who just give up because they don't want to do anything about it. So they just say, these things are always just difficult. So for you not to want to do anything, you resort to just saying things are always difficult. You leave it at that. But then there are people who come and embrace it. They say, oh, change has come. So you embrace it. And how do you embrace it? You could embrace it in different ways. Join activities, meet new people, try new things. When you do that, you then get to know that, oh my goodness, and we've been doing this and we didn't know that this is, it's something that people need. And so if it is something that people need and we are good at it, why don't we offer it as a service? And as we offer it as a service, we are making money from it.
Right. Thank you very much, Patrick. And I'm so you will keep on talking on this. And I can see Hadi also would have so many points to highlight on, especially when you say something about if this doesn't work, you have option B or option C or something like that. But before I get to Hadi, I just want to bring in SBI here. We are talking about change, and you mentioned about before letter writing, now mobile phones coming. SBI's area is in technology, and technology is something that keep on changing, and that is something. And since the topic is about adapting for success, SBI, that the younger generation, most of the time, technology is where they focus in. But how can they use this technology to become something that will add value to their life instead of, things that will not add value to their life? You're on mute, boss.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed, for that wonderful question. As my co-speaker said, this is a broad topic. And then before you can actually, say, okay, I'm gonna make a change in technology because technology is growing. First of all, there are various habits you need to adapt, And the first thing for that one is we have said this here many times. That is have passion. You have to have passion because you cannot just go and do technology. You need to have a passion for what you want to do and use technology to help you excel on that avenue. Have passion, If you have some types of, passion, there is nothing that can hold you back. And then also, technology or not, you have to work hard. Whether there is technology or not, it does not make it so easy. You still have to work very, very hard. To be successful in this line, you really have to put in the work and also be good at what you do. Patrick has mentioned this, find something that you are good at and be good at what you do, because here's the thing. When we have so many types of intelligence, it's not only in the world of academia. We have musical intelligence, we have athletic intelligence. Look at, for instance, people like Usain Bolt. That is athletic intelligence. We have people like Jay-Z. That is musical intelligence. So, and then we have people like Barack Obama. That's academic intelligence. You understand? So we have people who are they have logical intelligence, and all, and all that. So you need to figure out which avenue are you falling. Are you a very good person in terms of, education, academic? And if you put your focus on that, are you good in terms of music? Put your energy on that. We have so many technology stuff that you can utilize, to go to the studio and do what you need to do. So the most thing, find out what you want and what you are good at. All of them nga xam sa bopa mo gën ñu all wax la ki nga doon. Bu dañ def loo xamantene ordinarily mënuloo ko suma waaj. You know what I'm saying? So, so go and find something you are good at. That will help you tremendously. And then after that, stay focused. Stay focused, and it's very important in this key. You gotta stay focused in what you want to do, and then after that, you have to push yourself. Push yourself through. Push yourself. Don't limit yourself. Later, hold on. Hey.
It's all right. So we have another party to. Leila is.
Sorry, man.
There's another speaker on the show, right? That's good.
Yeah. So like I was saying, the next thing you have to push yourself. You gotta put yourself, because the thing is, many of us we live in a limited life. We live in a limited life. You know, we keep saying, man, you know, 5 years ago, I was good at this. You know, 10 years ago, I was good at this. Every day you are learning. Even if you are 90 years, those who are 90 years old today or 85 years, if you give them the smartphone, they don't know how to use it. So they are always learning. No, it doesn't matter how old you are. Every day you are growing, find something you want to evolve yourself in, and then learn and then grow always. And then the next thing is serve others. Whatever you know, whatever skills you have acquired, make sure you share with others. I have seen this in Africa, man. A whole lot of people, they have some unique skills they don't want to share. They want everybody to come to them. And you see, to be successful, you have to share that skills. You have to. I have seen like many people, they can even have like a very, you know, good recipe. You ask them, they don't want to give out the recipe, man. They just want to hold on to it. Or somebody is creating something that is very good, and you ask them to teach other youngsters to grow, they don't want to do it. But I think it's very important to take time and serve others with your skills you have, because it's a very fulfilling, you know, to share what you know with others. And also put in your ideas to action. Put your ideas to action. People have so many ideas, you know, in terms of technology, in terms of whatever they want to do. But the problem is they are only talkers. They are not doers. They just talk and talk and talk and talk. Now you have all these ideas, like Patrick has mentioned about Bakau. Okay, you go to Bakau area, you see something, oh, what can I put in here? Now, when you come with those ideas, now try to put those ideas to action. Don't just let it lay there, you know. Are you gonna use technology in terms of Facebook to do your marketing? Because nowadays people do so many marketing on WhatsApp, status, you know, or Facebook or Instagram. It's very easy to put yourself out there. Technology is helping you. So if you have all these ideas, put into action, and also be persistent. Be persistent, no matter how hard it's gonna be. You gotta keep going. The going never stop. The going never stop. Because to have Patrick in the Gambia today to do what he's doing, if you ask him his journey, it was not like Muhammad would usually say, it's not a walk in the park. It cannot be walk in the park. Patrick does not get here by default. He does not get here because somebody like him to bring him to the Gambia. No, he got here because he worked hard for it. Those sleepless nights that he was going through to prepare himself for this journey, it's not gonna be easy. So you gotta be ready to keep going. No matter how hard it is, remember the going never stops. The going always continue. Whether you are depressed or you are sad and all that, that's not gonna stop the sun from rising tomorrow morning. The going is not gonna wait for you. Tomorrow morning, the sun is gonna rise, whether you are happy or not. So
yes.
Put yourself together.
Absolutely.
And, and get ready to go, man.
Indeed. The sun is still going to be out there and doing what it does, no matter what. So thank you very much, SBI. And those are very inspiring and helpful thoughts that you bring in. Just to remind our viewers, you're watching Generation Next, a platform that comes to you on this medium, where we talk about issues that concern young people and the society at large. Our focus is to help inspire, motivate, and direct young people's participation towards responsibilities in the developing society. And today, our topic of discussion is on adapting for change. And like the saying goes, change is the only constant thing. So you always have to adapt for change. And any situation you find yourself in, if you do not adapt, then it's difficult for you to cope in that situation. Just like SBI concluded on, no matter your circumstance, if you are sad or depressed or something, that doesn't, you know, the world keep going. You'll just be left behind. What is it? Does it worth it? No. You just need to adapt and move on and make sure that you're doing something that's going to add value to your life and to make you become better off in the society. At the end, so you have a lot to say. I have a few comments on Facebook where people are saying good, nice talk. SBI is a multinational. That's from Pa Malik. And we have Seni Traore said, correct, you people are good. And, you know, Hadi, you've been lost, but people are saying, whoa, inspiring Hadi. So, yeah, welcome back on the show again. So, I mean,
Thank you, Mohammed.
Right. So, you know, when Patrick mentioned about if not this, that, you need to have different options. I know you will have something to say onto that as well, right?
Absolutely. I think when Patrick was speaking, one of the key things that he's mentioned is the fact that you need to have a vision. And I think one thing that we lose sight of is like oftentimes as young people, especially as young people in Africa, the world is now a global village. So we get to see previously, we do not know what is happening out there in the world. Or at least we do not know in real time. We only know when our family members who are living outside send us pictures or they come home for holidays. Now we get to see what's happening in real time. And not only out there in the world, but even amongst our age group. So we see our friends posting certain things, their achievements, the things that they've done, the things that they're able to do in different spaces and in different times of their life. So, and in different parts of the world as well. And one of the things that we tend to be obsessed with people's highlight reels and also the finished product. But when you listen to a lot of successful people, when you listen to a lot of successful people, one of the things that they tell you is, one of the key things that they tell you is a vision. And Patrick mentioned it, and you need to have a vision. Right. And whatever your vision is, it needs to be there, it needs to be present. And oftentimes the people who are successful, what they do, their vision solves people's problems. And that brings me, the reason why I'm mentioning these two factors is to specifically speak about youths in the Gambia, you know. So oftentimes, as Patrick said, we are faced with so many challenges. And I think that is every person, every youth in Africa would tell you their space is difficult, their country is difficult. Every youth in the Gambia, and I think one of the rhetorics that we keep on here, Gambia, easy with Gambia, tough. Yeah. And I'm glad that Patrick is telling us here, someone from Kenya, that it's tough every single place. Absolutely. It's tough everywhere in Africa. Doing business in Africa, surviving Africa, thriving in Africa is one of the hardest things anyone can do. Because one thing that we can all agree on is the environment and the circumstances and the resources that are available to you are a lot slimmer and a lot thinner and a lot scarce in Africa than they are everywhere else in the world. Resources are scarce, period. But however, they are a lot scarce in Africa than they are in the world, and particularly for a place like Gambia. However, should that make us stop? Should that make us just fold our hands and say, that's it, right? There's no point working hard. No. Mm-hmm. And I think in that scarcity of resources, in that tough environment, it also offers us a great deal of opportunities. And he mentioned there's some people who did not go to school or have the traditional education. They've learned trade or something, and now they're employing people who have the highest education. And one point in case is Taff. Right. Taff is touted as one of the most successful Gambians. Right. But people forget where Taff started from. And I know recently he's been in a bit of a, a fight in social media where young people are attacking him. But it's hard to hear him say what he's saying. But instead of attacking him, why don't we sit down and think, why did he say what he said? Or what he said, is it true when it comes to me as an individual? Am I expecting handouts as opposed to going out there and finding? Because that's what he did. Taff was actually operating and growing in the Gambia, growing his business, growing himself in an environment in Gambia that's much tougher than what Gambia is today. Right. And I'm sure if we were to have him on this panel, it was a much tougher Gambia than what Gambia is today. Yeah. Now we are actually not finding out. Exactly. We have a lot more resources available to us than our successful parents. And a lot of us have parents who have been doing it, who have paid school fees, who have made us into the human beings that we are without leaving this continent called Africa. They left the continent to go pursue other things much later on in life. So let's bring it down back to ourselves. Number one, it's very important for us to have a vision. Because one thing a vision does is you have to have a vision and be doggedly attached to your vision. You have to have a goal because your vision helps you outline your goals. One thing that must never change is your vision and your goals. However, adaptability tells you your tactics will change and should change because we live in an environment that is supposed to change. That's how the environment is wired to do. But if you are holding on to your vision and your vision stays constant and you're driven by a vision, that means whatever you need to do that's legal and that's upright and that's moral, you will do to get to where you're getting to. One thing I always say is sometimes we have this idea about what success should look like to us in our own environments. However, once you have a vision, I want to achieve this by this, or this is what I want to do. How you achieve it is less important. And that brings us back to whether you are formally educated, not formally educated, is identifying what your talents are and using them to achieve your goals. For example, if your goal is financial independence and success, if your vision is, I want to build a life that where I serve my community, I serve my family, a life where I'm successful, a life where I do not have to run to anyone for my, it does not matter what you have to do to get to that life. What matters is you get to that life. So if, for example, you are someone who is, you've find yourself growing pepper, for example, you have a little garden growing pepper, right? And you're selling it in the market. It might not look like a white collar job. It might not look like what your friends are doing, but is it getting you to the financial freedom or financial independence and financial stability? Is it getting you there?
Absolutely.
It might not look like driving the nice car, but is it getting you to the place that you want to get to?
Indeed.
Let us be fixated on our vision and not so much on the journey or how we get there. I think sometimes we see how people are living their lives, being in your whatever. We are so fixated on how it looks that we forget that we have our own individual journeys.
Right.
So because we have our own, it's important for us to figure out for ourselves, what do we want to achieve? And once we are very sure about what we want to achieve, one thing you need to understand is how you achieve it can always change. And that's where adapting for success comes in. The how will always change. It will modify. It would, you would have to do it in so many different ways. But what you want to achieve should remain the same. And why? Your why and your what? Your what can change. Your how can change, but your why remains the same. So as young people, we need to figure out our why. And we need to understand that our journeys are unique to us. Our journeys are specific to us.
Indeed.
However, in order to get there, we have to figure out how we need to get there
The journey
based
I
on
took
our
to
own
come
personalities.
to where I am today, coming from the village.
Exactly, from the village. Your journey and my journey is not the same.
Absolutely.
However, we're here on this platform.
Right.
If you had looked at me and said you have to do things the way I do things in order to get there,
Indeed.
and Mohammed, you are a testament. You didn't always have to do a white collar job in order to get to where you, but you needed to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
You did what you had to do in order to get where you want to. It was not always beautiful.
Absolutely.
It was not always glorious. It didn't always look so corporate and beautiful. But when you realize, you know what, this is what I needed to do, you adapted. You molded your mind. You actually coached yourself to know what, put your head down. This is what I need to do today in order to get to where I want to get to. So this is what I have to do. Absolutely. And that is why you see some other communities have learned that so well. You will interact, for example, I'll use an example in case, and I know that people, I do not want to offend anyone, but just permit me to use this example. You find a Senegalese youth come into this country and they will start with Bana in the Serekunda market doing anything. Or within a short while, you see them elevate.
Absolutely.
So growth will get you to a place where you don't need to do what you were doing in order to be said, but growth is growth, and growth requires you to start have a starting point. And oftentimes that starting point is nowhere. So Gambia is tough, and we understand that. Not all of us are handed the same resources. We're all not starting from the same starting point.
Yep.
And that is unfair. Life is unfair. Life is unfair. Our environments are tough. We have scarce resources. The systems are not stable. The systems are not very much developed. However, should we curl up and die?
Nope.
So establish our vision, lay out our action plan. Let us not be so doggedly fixated on the how and the what, but doggedly fixated on our why and on where we want to get to. So that is adapting for change and understanding, always being able to self-audit. I'll go back to that. We have to be self-critical. We have to be honest with ourselves, because the way we're living now is not the way it's always going to be.
Right.
So let's be self-critical, understand why we're doing what we're doing, and keep on moving. So sometimes it might look like rolling on the floor. Sometimes it might look like uprightly standing. Sometimes it might look like running. But whatever we need to do, as long as we're moving, it's the most important thing. So that's my perspective.
Thank you very much, Hadi. And speaking of vision, a couple of days ago on my status on WhatsApp, I did mention that find your vision and let it guide you in all that you do. If you lack vision, you lack direction, because this is
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because vision is what help you to get to where you want to be.
Mhm.
Whatever your situation is in life, if you're not thinking ahead, man, where do you think you're going to? You'll just be left behind. I mean, nothing happens, right, Patrick?
Vision has built empires. Vision has built empires. Sorry, I'm sure Pat will, but vision is what has built empires. Vision is why we see the world that we are living in today. We keep talking about the internet age. We keep talking about infrastructure development. We keep talking about the way we build our life. People are traveling to Dubai, but they don't understand that it's vision that built Dubai, Singapore, all of these places. So Patrick, so we need to have a vision, and we need to doggedly be stuck to our vision. The how does not matter, but we'll get there.
And I also think that, and now I want to be very honest.
Mhm.
You see, the youth that are being targeted in this case, and primarily this program is probably being beamed all over the world. But
Mhm.
the main reason why this generation next started was to target the youth and inspire them and encourage them, but you do not inspire and encourage someone if you don't tell them the truth. You don't. So I think there needs to reach a point where people say the truth and have the courage to say that truth. Because if you look at human beings, and that applies to all of us, I might be told something that is the truth, and because of my human nature, I will get upset.
Absolutely.
But that does not change the fact that it is the truth.
Right.
So there must be that, there should be this courage where you're able to stand up and tell it as it is. I remember meeting a very young man and speaking very good English in the street. And this gentleman asked me for money. And I asked him, why? Why should I give you money? You see, God has blessed you. You are having all your limbs and you're walking and you can be able to work. Why have you chosen begging as an option? That is unfortunate. And this gentleman just looked at me, and I think I took him by surprise, because people never ask such questions. So I surprised him, because I'm like, but you're someone with all your limbs in place, honestly. Why are you begging? You're even insulting God as it is, because then it means that God has given you a brain free of charge and all your limbs and everything. And then now you're refusing to use it and resorting to, there's this problem with the current generation. People want an easy life, but they don't want to work for it. There's no way you're going to have an easy life and work for it. And like COVID opened our eyes and taught us something, that nothing is permanent. Nothing. Because, for example, when COVID hit us, even the people that send money from abroad, did their donations not come down?
It came down significantly.
In fact, in some months, they did not even send money. So
absolutely.
That tells you something. It is not enough and okay for you to just sit and relax back and say, anyway, my brother is in the US, or my brother is
handouts.
Yes, you're depending on handouts, because there's a time that handout will end. And then when it gets cut off, how are you going to survive if you're someone who has been living on handouts? Now you want to imagine yourself, you are now a 55-year-old, you're walking in the streets begging, and people are wondering, what is wrong with this man? How can, and to make it worse, you're well dressed. So you actually wake up in the morning well dressed to come and beg. To come and beg. Don't you see the shame in it?
Oh my God.
So people should be, sometimes, yes, as we said, change is constant, but look at change as an opportunity.
Opportunity.
Look at change as an opportunity to enable you excel. But also, even as you are quick to say that the government is not doing this, so and so is not doing this, you as an individual lead by example. You're supposed to be someone that people look up to and say, yes, that young man or that young lady does not have a job, but look at how you're struggling. You know, you go maybe to Serekunda, you buy oranges or whatever in bulk, you come and sell them, and you know, you always, you're persistent. So that, you lead by example. And yes, we all make mistakes. So when you make a mistake, admit it, because the moment you admit a mistake, you're learning. That is the beginning of knowledge. You're learning. So I think that, yes, sometimes you look at social media, when someone says something, people are angry. But when you sit down and interrogate it, then you realize the reason why people are angry is because this person had got enough guts to say what people don't want to say. Because how is it that it is only in Gambia where people say that, there is no fish? Why is there no fish? The Senegalese are not there. So the day Senegalese decide they're not going to come back, the people in Gambia will not be eating fish. You know, that is a challenge. So to the youth, it is an opportunity. Invest in fishing. And now, as you're investing in fishing, invest in it using modern technology. Don't do it the usual way these other people are doing it. So you see, it is like there's an opportunity around you, but you're not seeing it. Why are you not seeing it? Because it has been decided that the only people who are fishing are Senegalese. Other people don't want to fish. So we have left fishing to the Senegalese. But you're forgetting, every time the Senegalese are fishing, they're fishing and making money. The same money that we are looking for. So why can't we do, you know, like they say, there's this popular saying, and it comes from the Bible, that don't give me fish, teach me how to fish. So for me, I think it is a challenge to the youth that, I mean, fishing, why would you not want to develop an interest and fish? Because there's nothing wrong about fishing. There's nothing wrong about fishing, but it is looked down upon because apparently it has got tags. It's supposed to be a poor man's job, or it is not something you can be proud of. You go around telling people that I'm a fisherman. If you were to find out what some of those fishermen have, you'd be shocked.
Absolutely.
You'll be surprised.
It would be shocking.
Absolutely. I think I like the fact that you said honesty. And I think that's what people don't like nowadays, because what, for example, Tough posted is absolute honesty. And I think one thing we have to learn, the reason why I was so keen on mentioning and always repeating self-audit and self-criticism, it's for us to be honest with ourselves. And I think if we are being brutally honest, a lot of us, there are no resources, and resources are not equally and evenly divided. But that situation will never change. That situation will never change. It is not about to change now. And it's something that our kids will have to contend with. I think one thing we have to be true to ourselves is that a lot of us are lazy. A lot of us are lazy. Excuse me. A lot of us are lazy. And as such, we will not be able to adapt the way we need to in order to. Hold on, sorry.
Okay, it's all right. This is a message on Facebook from Miss Missing Ojob. Said, I've always had the same feeling why begging should be an option. We even have differently able people who are becoming doctors. Absolutely true, Patrick. You know, and this is a problem, you know, in the society. You know, people are taking it as an opportunity to just stand by and ask for a handout and thinking that that is how you can make it in life. That is just something else. But at this point, Ohadi, you're back. Before I move on to SBI,
yes,
you were
I'm
saying
back.
something.
Yeah. And I think as young people, if we're honest with each other, sorry, excuse me, I had to just, I think as young people, if we're honest with ourselves first and with each other, we'll find out that, yes, it is tough. Like Patrick will say, yes, it is tough, but then there's something that we can do. And I think there's this saying that we always lose sight of, that in the wall of saying, it says, Ponditanka again, Pondita. And oftentimes, I feel like that, Ponditanka Morgan Ponditan. Basically, the what's it called? Traction. You can gain traction by getting up, going there and getting something done.
Absolutely.
So it can be an issue of going to the market early morning, getting some fruits or vegetables on a wholesale basis and selling. Whatever you do, keep on moving. Like I said, your vision, for example, if your vision is financial stability and independence, start small, however you need to start. It does not matter what you do, but it matters what your vision is. Not the how you achieve it, but what your vision is. And if you are serious about that vision, you keep on moving and you do an honest day's work every single day. And sometimes that thing might change. Sometimes you will sell oranges. Sometimes you sell something else. Sometimes you might not even sell. Sometimes you craft something and sell, but you're always doing something. If there's someone who wants to help and they find you doing something, that person is more willing to help someone who is doing something because that person understands the market. That person understands the environment. Have you ever met these women? The way they understand the dynamics of this market and this environment. If you just help them understand how to manage their resources and their monies and stuff, they would excel. They would excel exponentially. These people understand it in a way a young person sitting at home would not understand it. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Why are we angry? And sometimes this attitude are translated even with the people in the offices. Yes, they have education. Yes, they have a blue-collar work. Young people always think because I went to school, they paid school fees, you're entitled to a job. Mm-hmm. And once you get that job, you think you're entitled to growth at that job. No, I always tell people, an institution does not know you unless you're working for government where you're guaranteed a job anyhow. And that's why we always complain about the services we receive from our government institutions, because the people working there are lazy and entitled. They feel like just because they have that job, they're entitled to growth and the opportunities and the resources at that job willingly without having to do anything, without having to put in the work. So, but as someone who's working in the private sector, I always remind myself, Hadi, you are just a figure, a number to this institution. They don't care about you. And it's nothing personal. I'm not angry with it, but they care about your output. You are as important as your output. And in this world, you are as important as your output. Indeed. So we might look at people who are earning great deals of money and think they're not doing anything. What is the journey to that place? The CEO's output by just one sentence is much more impactful than a worker who's working day and night for that same input.
Absolutely.
Because the CEO gets to think strategically. If you want to get to that place, you need to do this. You need to do the work to get to that place. So an institution does not care about you, right? But they care about your output. So me as a person, you are as important to me as the value you bring into my life.
Indeed.
Even as for our parents, you think love is unconditional. It is conditional, and it's conditional as to what input, what value you bring into my life. And if you see the world in this way, you would always try to bring in value to people's lives so that you would be valuable to them, so that the skills you have and what you bring to them would be something that they will be willing to pay for.
Absolutely.
Would be something that they will be willing to elevate. So what is it? Ask yourself every single day. Even as a parent, I'll tell people, even as a parent, it's not automatic that you love your child. If that child every day is bringing trouble to your life, when that child wakes up in the morning, you say, Subhanallah.
Absolutely.
You say, Subhanallah, what is he going to do today? What is she going to do today?
You're worried.
That is not unconditional love. You're scared of that child. Right? But if that child wakes up in the morning and goes to work and brings something at the end of the morning and tells you, Mama, please take this and add it onto that child is valuable to you. That child is easy to love. That child is easy to love. And that is how we should look at ourselves as citizens, right? As citizens, what value? It does not matter. You find the government, if everyone had that same attitude, we would have the governments that we want. Because the likelihood of every person in that government working the way that we are waking up every day to think, what value do we bring in? Because if you give me value, I'll pay for it. If you give me value, I'm willing to pay for it. And I think we can all be honest with ourselves. Wherever we go for service, wherever we go for goods and services and products, we want value. And if people give us value, we're willing to pay for it. So just remember that in whatever you do.
And without value, it's nothing. So there must be value
Absolutely.
in whatever you do, you know?
Absolutely. So we have to be honest with ourselves first, each other. And that is the first key to adapting for success. Honesty, self-criticism, self-audit, having a vision. Because a vision can only be set after all of these things, because you have to have that understanding of self. And once you set your vision, make sure you communicate it to people around you unapologetically. You have to set boundaries. Young people need to set boundaries. They need to set boundaries for themselves, and they need to set boundaries in their surroundings. The way we are moving is not the way to go.
It's not the way to go. At this point, let me just bring in my friend out there, SBI. SBI, we're talking about adapting for success. You know, you're from the Gambia. You know how life was in the Gambia. When you travel to the United States, the current status you have now and where you are today, it doesn't just come to you overnight. This is something that you have gone through, and you've done a lot of things to get to that state. Just take us a bit through on how you're able to adapt to the situation you found on the ground to be where you are today.
Well, first of all, for me, the first thing that I really focus on, was I stopped comparing myself with everybody else. I was like, you know what? I don't care what my friends are achieving right now, because I have friends in Europe, some are here in America, some are out there in Canada, all over the world, right? So they are doing big things for themselves out there in Gambia. So for me, that because most of the time, us as youngsters, we always try to compare ourselves with what somebody else is doing. So for me, that is the journey that I took, why I am where I am today. The first thing that I have to stop was I stopped comparing myself with those people who are achieving the good thing. They are driving, beautiful cars back in Gambia, and then they are living a good life here in America or Europe. I respect that, and it's a good thing. But I'm not comparing myself with them. So for me, my focus, I say, you know what? God have given them this opportunity. Now they are signing, they are rising. I get it, and I love it. But for me, I was focusing on myself. I was working on myself from the ground, because what I was doing is called delayed gratification. You understand? I'm trying to save myself, and do my things on my own time, in my own way. And then another thing I don't do is, it's not about, I came to realize that it's not about how much money you are making. It's about how much money are you keeping? How much are you saving? How much are you keeping? Because somebody out there is making a whole lot of money, but then they blow it out the next minute. They're not keeping anything. So I realized, I said, okay, now this is about how much money I'm gonna keep. Now, instead of blowing, you have all those strategic ideas. And then one thing has come to clear to me, even from the beginning of time, is that if you can dream, you can achieve it. If your mind can conceive and your heart can believe it. You gotta believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
I have to believe in myself. Even I have some friends who will make jokes. Sometimes I can be like, hey, you know what? Look, I'm pretty. I know I'm pretty. You know what I'm saying? I make some jokes like that, because you know why? I gotta believe in myself, and I have to feel good about myself. Because like the thing about feeling good about yourself, when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you perform good. But you gotta feel good about yourself. You gotta say, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna compare myself with anybody out there. The only person I'm competing is myself. I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. And next year, 2023, I want to be better than I am in 2022. So I have put all those elements, together. And then it comes to what Hadi, the why. I have to figure out, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? I gotta find the clarity of that. Why am I doing what I'm doing? So once I figured out the why I'm doing what I'm doing, then I go to how. How can I do this? How can I do it? And the moment you start saying, how can you do it? Then your mind is gonna go to work. It's going to give you all the ideas how you're going to achieve that goals and how you're going to do those things, because you are going to talk to people around you, the people who are in the same boat with you. Don't be hanging out with people who are going to, drag you down, just like gravity. They will pull you down. I don't have time to hang around people like that. You know what I'm saying? And then the where I'm in. Because if you don't know where you are going, bro, even your GPS cannot help you, because your GPS, the first thing will ask you, can you please put in your destination? So if you don't know where you're going, the GPS cannot even help you. So you need to know where you are going, because if you don't know where you are going, now the only way you know to go is home. That's the only way you're gonna know, but you're not gonna know where to go in the future. And then, so you need to figure out where you are going. Once you find a destination, and then you hit the road. And Hadi has said, it does not matter how fast other people are going. So long as you do not stop, keep going. If you keep going, you are going to make progress. Somebody can run like my brothers, Kenyan people. Kenya. I heard like those guys, if they are chasing the deers, they don't need guns. They just chase the deer until the deer run and get tired, and they say, you know what, I give up now, huh? So you have to have that energy in your bank. You gotta be ready to go, and there's no matter how fast you are going, so long as you do not stop, keep going. So for me, I put all those things together. It was very clear to me what I want, my how. I knew my how from the beginning of time, and I knew my why and where I was heading to. And I put all these things together. Then I surrounded myself, with the people that have positive mindset with me, people that think like me, people that give me the ideas and opportunity to say, hey, you are doing this, you are doing that, try to do that. And a lot of time, the youngsters out there, they are doing something and it's wrong. And they are wondering why they are stuck in the same place since 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Sometimes you have to change the formula. If your formula is not working, talk to Harry. Say, hey, Harry, I've been seeing you've been working on this and this and this, and I know you've been working. So what did you do? Put your ego down and ask for help. Always ask for help. Like for me in the classroom, I'm the first who put my hands up and ask a question. You know why? If I know everything, I'm not supposed to be in that class. So I'm in that class because I don't know nothing. I'm here to learn. So once you put your ego down and ask those questions and ask people to guide you, trust me, you will know where you are going. But if you don't have that support system, you're not gonna go far. And they said, if you wanna go fast, go alone. But if you wanna go far, go with people.
Thank you very much, Mr. SBI. And this is a time that also that sometimes constrain us when it comes to events like this. We have spoken on this, and I'm sure there is still a lot of discussion points. This cannot be enough for us to end it here. But working with time, it's always also important to consider that. So at this point, what would be our last messages to our viewers here? Let me start with Patrick, and then we'll go on.
First and foremost, the thing that I think needs to come up before anything else is put God first. So if God to you is Mohammed, let it be Mohammed. If God to you is Hindu, put God first. After you've put God first, learn to be accountable. Transparency and accountability are key. That will then determine the kind of progress that you make, not only in your private life, but also in your, what shall I call? In your personal and in your non-personal life. Transparency, right. Accountability, and then your environment. Because your environment influences you. And you see now, environment is a broad-based term to mean where you stay, who is it that you hang out with, the places that you go to, because then they influence what it is that you do. If you go to a place where what people do is just smoke, before you know it, you start smoking.
Indeed.
If your friends are always just lounging, you'll always just be lounging, because that, you have a common denominator. You're always just lounging. So religion, transparency, be accountable, and be mindful of your environment. Your environment influences you a lot.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Put God first, accountable, and transparency, and be mindful. Those are the words of Patrick advising you out there. Mr. Keba, what will be your message one more time before we end the show at this point?
Yes, for me, all the youngsters out there, what I would like to tell you is, Hadi has said this at the beginning, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself, be honest to yourself. You know what you want, and then have a goal every day, because a dream without a goal is not a dream. So you have to have a goal. And for me personally, my goal every day is to make my bed. Every day I gotta make my bed. So if I make my bed every day, and then if I go out there for my next goals, even though those goals I'm trying to achieve out there in the real world did not come through for that particular day, but believe me or not, when I come home, I'm coming to a bed that's already made. So have a goal every day, no matter how big, small it might be, have a goal.
Have a goal every day. Thank you very much, SBI. I started with you, Hadi, and I'm ending with you. what is your last message to the viewers here?
Thank you so much, Mohammed. I think it's been a great show once again. I think my parting words would be, as Patrick, I think number one is, whatever you believe in, have faith, because there's a saying that says, and I always try to replace the word universe with God. You have to understand that the universe will always conspire to make your dreams come true. And there's one of my favorite books of all time, The Alchemist, always says that once you have a vision, your vision is bound to be tested. And if you're a Muslim, already in the Quran, God says that you cannot say that you want something, even if it's faith in him or hidayah. You cannot say that you want something and I will not test you to see whether you're deserving of it. So the testing is actually what hones you. It's what sharpens you. It is what sharpens you. It is what builds you to be the kind of person that deserves the success or the life that you seek. Because we see a lot of instances where people have certain lives, but they do not make any difference to their communities or life. But what we want is people who not only succeed, but succeed and have an impact, a positive impact in their environment and in their communities. So absolutely put God first and understand that whatever you face is actually all for the good of you, right? So that's number one. Number two is, and I would always say this, self-audit. You have to be honest enough. If you love yourself, one of the first things that you have to be is to be honest to yourself. And people know what I'm saying if I'm saying be honest to yourself. Self-audit, self-critique, right? You know what you have 9 times out of 10. When people come to me for advice, 9 times out of 10, I listen. I actually lead them to what they've already decided that we're going to do. Because I tell them whatever, good or bad, you've already decided what you're going to do. Regardless of what I tell you, you're going to do what you've already inside your head. You just want me to validate it for you.
And that's it.
So if you are honest with yourself, you know what's good, you know what's bad. You don't need my validation, and I will not validate it for you because I will tell you how I would do it, but I'm not going to validate your next move for you. So you be honest with yourself, be self-critical, then you can build the vision that you can outline your vision clearly. You can tell yourself, and in that way, be willing to also be critical of the people around you. In the Bible, and I think in the book of Psalms, it says, iron sharpens iron as other people will sharpen, as another person sharpens another. I don't know the actual words. I hope I'm quoting it right, but it can help me. So that means you have to be very mindful of the people around you. These people need to be sharpening you. Mm-hmm. And if you're not honest with them, you are not sharpening them. And if they're not honest to you, they're not doing the same. So your environment is holding you back. So if you know you're not willing to be honest with your friends, those are not your friends. They're not aligned to your vision. And you have to be very dogged and brutal about your vision.
Right.
And once you do that, don't be fixated on the how. Because the how will always change. And that's why we're talking about adapting for success. You have to be willing to be mutable. Sometimes, even in your workplace, the tasks that you have, the projects that you have, sometimes you find, even working in Africa, you have a project to set up or to launch a product. You have outlined that for Gambia. You need to adapt those steps for Gambia. The how is not important. It is the why. So your vision is very important, and be consistent. Be very consistent. Change is not easy. Look, success is not for the lily-livered. It's not for the weak. the people who succeed will tell you this every day. It is not for the weak. So if you think you deserve success, are you willing to work for it? And if you're not willing to work for it, if you're lazy, sorry, my friend, go steal, go cheat, go lie, go do whatever. You might be temporarily successful, but you will not be sustainably successful. And I hope that we all want a better legacy than stealing, cheating, and lying. Right? So good luck to all of us, but we should be willing to self-audit and build ourselves to become the people that we want to be and the people that we want to see our children be. If there's anything that you wish you would see in this world, be it. And you would surely see it in the world. That's it.
Thank you very much, Hadi. I mean, that reminds me on my WhatsApp status post today, which I say, in life, staying focused in your goals. Would it be easy? And the answer is obviously no. But would it worth it? Absolutely. Whatever your goals are, if you focus on them, you can eventually achieve them in life. Thank you very much, Patrick, Keba, and Hadi, for having you all in this show today. It's a very interesting and amazing discussion. And today, like I said, this is not even enough for us to discuss this topic because there's a lot to talk about. But I mean, it couldn't have been any better than this already. So thank you guys and for having you all on this show.
Thank you.
Sorry, before we wrap up, I have a comment from a friend that's listening in.
Okay.
And I think she's saying we should also focus. We've always been focusing on the formal sector, and we should also focus on the informal sector and also how can we get youths to participate as well. And I think that she's making the point of the comment on the government, non-government, blue-collar workers versus white-collar workers. And I think, I'm not sure if I get her point across, but I hope I have done justice to it. But we would endeavor to also broaden our discussions on to cover all aspects. But I think one key thing that we've always been focusing on is on personal growth and development. And I think once we attack personal growth and development, whichever sector that you're working from or you're working in, you will get to where you want to get to, because that's the most important ingredient, the self.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. The listener is Fatu who's joining in.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
we can give Fatu an opportunity to say one or two
Yeah,
words
she wants
if you
to
want
speak up, actually. She wants to be able to speak up, yeah.
Yeah, so
So I
Fatu,
don't know if you can unmute yourself and
Fatu,
speak up.
you can put on your video and unmute yourself and then say something.
Hi.
If you want to.
Hi.
Put on your
How
video,
are you?
please.
Okay. I don't think you'll be able to see me properly,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I'll try. Hi, this is Fatu.
Hi, Fatu.
I mean, I'm not formally dressed. Sorry.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
It's all right.
Yes. I wanted to just say thank you to all the speakers. I know Hadi tried to get my point across because it's all scribble and everything. I've been following you guys. So I just wanted to say some things were mentioned offline because I joined in with you guys immediately. And Patrick mentioned something about like not being able to advertise when it comes to medical. So, this is what I'm saying, like what you guys have been saying is really important, because if you look at it as well, to adapt for success, these changes are necessary. Because then Patrick made mention of something that is very important, that you cannot get every individual to like get the word across. But through advertisement is there for a reason, so that you can get things across, so that you can create awareness, you can like broaden the sensitization across people, across networks. So what I was actually mentioning about like the formal and informal sector is that sometimes in order, like, let's narrow it down to the context of the Gambia, we have to realize that we have the formal, but also the informal sector is quite large as well. So how do we also focus on those people? Because Hadi made mention of that. You have market women that are in the market system. They know what they're doing better than you. But if you want them to adapt for something, the society is changing. Changing is constant as well. There are other ways of trying to get them to be successful than just like being in one type of business. So this is what I was saying, like, it's important that when you guys were all talking, there are things that are called cross-cutting factors for sustainability. And I've picked up words from you guys like SVI has mentioned confidence, which is very important. And I think literacy also plays a major part. And literacy doesn't have to mean that you only go through like from primary school to high school to tertiary and all that. Being literate is not that. Let's take it back to my own sector. Like we have something in all of that we call Olofal. So Olofal was something that was a best practice that you can get like those that are not educated or literate to actually learn in our local language, to be able to read and write in our local language. So these are type of means that have been there before that are best practices that I believe that in the Gambia we have started. We had these things before. It's just that along the way, these best practices are left behind. So that's why every success that we have encountered, sustaining it is really difficult because of we let these best practices go. So like, for example, like, let me say in our education system, you have the School of Public Health. This is very, very famous. You have the School of Nursing and Midwifery. This was feeding directly into the public health system. It was feeding directly into the nursing system. And this system were they were very particular. I'll call like some famous names like Beatrice Hafner. When these people were in the health system, in the nursing system, we used to have really good practices within the health system. So I think it's important that we do not forget the best practices along the way. And then also, let's always try to, when we're trying to go forward, especially in this topic, adapting for success, we leave no one behind, both formal and informal sector. So yeah, this is what I wanted to add in.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you so much.
Very good points, valid points.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
I think we see a potential guest.
Obviously, Fatu has just advertised herself already. So,
Mr. Mohammed, you know, when Fatu was talking, all I could think of was, yo, we got a next guest, you know. First of all, we're gonna have her one-on-one. Because I want to hear her story, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like she's gonna have a very good storyline. So one-on-one, and then from there she need to come back as a speaker. I think
absolutely, I agree.
She just give us a tip on the eyes, you know. So we need more now. We're hungry for more, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
I love the passion. Absolutely.
I like the part where she said advertisement. She has already advertised herself to us. So we're gonna reach out to her, and then we're gonna have her on this show as well.
Absolutely.
So get ready for us.
I'm so right now. She's dying with laughing right now.
Did I put myself in trouble?
No, not trouble at all. But I think people need to hear from you,
Absolutely.
Especially the sector that you're working from, because even you speaking about the public health sector, just as a caveat, she works in the public health sector and she has a lot of knowledge in that area. And I think we cannot talk about youth development. We cannot talk about what we do here in Generation Next, bringing in, different areas so we can show the youth what is happening and what we can do, where we can plug ourselves in and participate in the growth of our communities. So absolutely, Fatu, we'll be happy to have you.
Most definitely. This is the cameo, you know. Fatu is the cameo for the next. Yes, it's the cameo for the next one.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So Fatu, get ready. Get ready. We need more Fatu.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having you all, and Fatu for coming up at this point. So we really appreciate your contributions and points that you've just shared with us. Like we said, this is very interesting and timely. That set up for the next show that will be coming, where we will definitely reach out. And of course, Kadi Hadi is the contact person, and that makes it easy for us. So thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Keba, and thank you, Hadi. And of course, Fatu and everyone out there who is watching this and will be watching later.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Keba.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to coming to visit the Red Cross and seeing what you're doing. I'm sure I'll come with Fatu. So
you're welcome.
Yes.
You're very much welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Pleasure, man.
Right.
So, Mr. Mohammed, go ahead and cut it.
Yeah, it's already cut from live.
All right.